we'll do that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Denise Buckle on the staff council, and this is our plain talk for April 20th. We're going to start with Nadim El-Khoury, who is the Director of Network Systems Infrastructure and Info Security. You're on mute, Nadim, so feel free to get started.
I'm muted myself. Thank you for the introduction and welcome everyone. I had a set of questions from Andrea. I'm going to stick to those questions because I believe that they're extremely helpful and they will help me make my presentation. Would I be able to share my screen? I'm going to try to share my screen. It's a PowerPoint presentation and I'll go through the slides. It's nothing fancy. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
So hold on a second. Sorry about this. So my name is Nadim El-Khoury and I'm the Director of Network Systems and Infrastructure and the Information Security Officer. I want to briefly discuss with you the network infrastructure and where we are at and what our future plan. So the network configuration basically consists of a flat network. Basically, it means that once you connect to the Springfield College network, you have unfettered access throughout the network. That's mean if you're in the learning commons and you want to reach someone that is in the administration building, your computers can talk to each other with no issues, and you can have access to the rest of the internet as well. There's no, we don't do any filtering, or we don't stop any traffic in going out of the college because of academic freedom. Part of the network renovation, we went to 2 wireless SSIDs. In the past, we had SC Springfield, you had SC Student and SC Guest. And to be able to reduce and improve the wireless on the coverage and connectivity, we went down to 2 of them only. One is EduRoam, that is available in administrative buildings and in the dorms as well. And EduRoam is used basically for you to be able to connect your laptops, your tablets, and your smartphones, because once you connect to it, you're able to move from one building to the next, and you still can connect to the wireless network. And it's also used for our guest access, and the service is called AnyRoam, and you'll be able to go to anyroam.net and get a specific credentials from them, and you can connect to EduRoam, and your connection will be secured. The reason we went to EduRoam because it's used throughout the United States at university and colleges, and also it's heavily used in Europe. So if you're traveling in Europe, or if you go to another college or university in the US, you'll be able to connect to EduRoam using your Springfield College credentials. You enter your email address, you enter your password, and you connect it to their wireless network, and you connect it in a secure way. The other SSID is we created Brightspace, and it's only available in the dorms, and it's used for gaming devices, smart TVs, Roku devices, Alexa, Fire Sticks, and Google Home. These devices cannot use a more secure connection that only use a simple password, and each student in this case have their own password to be able to connect their devices. And when they connect to these devices, they'll be able to see them wherever they're at in the dorms and control these devices. Andrea asked me what's the difference between enterprise and home networks. Home networks usually consist of 1 or 2 wireless and wired routers. And the setup is easy and straightforward. Basically, you have one SSID and a simple password that you use to connect your devices. It's mainly a plug and play, and it's an easy setup to allow consumers easy access to the internet with few at home, and you have only few devices connected to it. But when you come to an enterprise level network like we have here at Springfield College, usually enterprise networks consist of hundreds/thousands of wired switches and wireless access points and routers. It's complex complex in nature because you have to interconnect buildings to make sure that you allow traffic to go from one building to the next and then to allow it to go to the internet. At home, you only have one connection coming from your ISP, like for example, Comcast, you only have one connection coming in, and that will be your connection for the whole connection to the internet. But here at Springfield College, the connection to the internet only comes in into two buildings, the administration building and the learning commons. But if you are in the campus union, to be able to go out to the internet, your connection has to go from campus union to either the administration building or to learning commons to be able to reach out to the internet. And that interconnectivity requires complex infrastructure that it mainly depends on fiber because of the distances. And this is what the difference is between a wired connection at home versus connection in the enterprise. At Springfield College, you have thousands of devices that connect on a daily basis. And Springfield College network devices that to interconnect all the buildings, we have 300 plus switches. We have 8 routers. The routers are designed to move traffic from one building to the next. We have 2 firewalls to protect us from the outside world. And we have 853 wireless access points that are deployed throughout the campus and regional campuses. Complaints. Andrea asked me if we receive complaints and why do we receive complaints? So basically we have a very outdated infrastructure and outdated equipment. The infrastructure basically is the underlying cabling that we have. In some buildings, like for example, Living Center, it's using very old cabling system. It's Cat3 and it cannot handle today's traffic. Outdated equipment, some of the equipment that we are still using on campus have been purchased back in 2003 and we're still using them. That equipment is outdated, cannot handle today's traffic, especially that traffic that is not designed to handle video. And the network was designed for the 90s and not for the 21st century. And what do we mean by that? In the 90s, when you had the World Wide Web that was came back online in 94 and became very popular, you had to deal with static pages and content. But today in the 21st century, when you connect to a web page, the pages are dynamically displayed, content is dynamically being updated, and video is king. And what do we mean by video being king is that when you connect to a web page today, the first thing you hear is somebody talking to you. And because somebody has put a video and the video automatically starts. To be able to stream that video, you need a lot of bandwidth and a big internet pipe. In our case, Springfield College has a 5 gig internet pipe that is shared with the other 5 schools, Western New England, Bay Path, Elm, and AIC, and Springfield College. Yes, other universities and colleges are facing the same type of complaints, especially from dorms, and the same thing at Springfield College. The pandemic has exacerbated that problem because now students are taking online classes, and that has tripled the number of traffic that are coming from the dorms. Today, what we see when the wireless was designed at Springfield College back in 2011, the average number of devices that a student brought in or an employee was either 1 or 2 devices. But today we see each student coming in with 4 devices. You have a laptop, you have an iPad, you have an iPhone, and you have an iWatch. And all of these want to be able to connect to the network. Besides the fact that some of students have Roku TVs on top of it, they have Roku devices, they have Fire Stick, and all of these need to be able to connect to the network and use the network. And the main complaints that we are seeing are Zoom from the dorm rooms using a Mac. Windows seems to handle Zoom sessions better than Macs, and other universities and colleges are facing the same problem. Since the pandemic started, the number of complaints at other colleges when it came to Zoom sessions has tripled. and especially in dorms because the students are taking all their classes from their dorm room. And that has increased the requirements from a wireless perspective. The pandemic. So how has it affected Springfield College? So the demand has increased on the wireless connectivity, especially in the dorms rooms. We cannot address issues like we did in the past. So for example, if we need to improve coverage in a particular dorm, we cannot just go in and add another AP, especially in quarantine space. For give you an example, Graduate Village, there are coverage issues in Graduate Village, and we cannot just go in and put APs in there. We have to wait till the place has been sanitized, and then for us to be able to go in and add and increase the number of APs to improve the coverage. And that has caused some issues for students that have been, went to Graduate Village. There is another issue that the pandemic has also caused issues, which is delay in delivery of new switches and wireless access point. The lead time now is 6 to 8 weeks because of shortages of chips globally. Manufacturers are waiting for chips so they cannot manufacture their equipment as fast as the demand has been since the pandemic. And the reason is because most of the students are in dorms, and lots of the universities and colleges are looking at increasing coverage in those rooms and in those dorms. And the way they're doing it in some colleges is that they're putting APs in each and every room, which the college cannot do here. It costs a lot of money on average, and AP costs around $500 just for the AP. And we did not even talk about licensing. So you pay $500 for the device, plus you end up paying $200 from a licensing perspective. And if you look at the number of dorm rooms, if you want to put one in each and every dorm, that's 2,300 dorm rooms plus times 500. That will give you an idea how much it actually costs. If you want to look at numbers for the last 24 hours, and this is wireless only. So on April 19th, yesterday, there was 6,005 active users between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. yesterday alone. On Sunday, between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m., there were 4,500 active users. And that tells you that these are connections only coming from the dorms. We had 783 gig of maximum traffic between 1 and 2 p.m. yesterday. On April 18th, between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. at night, just from the dorms on the wireless, this is only wireless, we have not done any wired traffic. We had passed 825.1 gigabyte of traffic only between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. And that tells you how much traffic has increased on our wireless and the demand has. Zoom meetings yesterday between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. What we see coming through our firewall is that there were 8,200 Zoom sessions, 1,100 users, and the traffic just from Zoom alone was 465 gigabyte of usage. And that is lots of traffic that we have seen because of the pandemic. We did have Zoom sessions before the pandemic, but not as much. And also, had we not upgraded the wireless over the summer last year, we would have been a world of hurt. The students would not be able to sit in their dorm rooms and do their classes over Zoom sessions, even though we hear complaints, but it's not as much before we upgraded the network. What are the upcoming changes? So the changes is that we want to complete the switch upgrades in the remaining buildings over the summer. And we want to move toward what we call and implement a zero trust architecture. And zero trust basically is move away from perimeter-based security to a security strategy that is based on zero trust. Basically, we're saying we don't trust anyone. And to be able to trust you, you need to prove to us that who you say who you are. So for example, today, if you want to access library e-resources based on Springfield College IP addresses, so this is based on location and perimeter based. So you have to be on campus to be able to access these resources without anybody asking you, are you affiliated with Springfield College? We want to be able to go to a zero trust. And what does that mean? Is basically access based on identity, who you are as a user, the application that you're accessing and that service that we're providing you, and the device that you are using. Is the device in this case that you're using allowed to access that resource? For example, we will be allowing you to access an e-resource using your iPad as an example, but we might not allow you to access CX, which house student information data using your iPad because we consider that to be less secure. And the drawing that you see is from the NIST document called, and it's 200-207. Basically, the computer to the policy decision enforcement endpoint that we consider this to be an untrusted zone. You try to reach a particular service, you get to a policy decision, and at that policy decision and enforcement endpoint, we ask you who you are. So you enter your username and your password, but we might increase that by saying, okay, we want additional information from you in terms of allowing you access to that particular resource. We want to add multi-factor authentication to allow you access to that resource, especially if that resource contains sensitive data. It's something that everyone is aware of now. Everybody uses multi-factor authentication when you connect to your bank or when you connect to Amazon. They're forcing you now, or you connect to Microsoft. Everyone is now adding two-factor authentication to improve their security level. The next upcoming changes is IPTV. We're moving away from coax cable in the dorm rooms to be IPTV, and that will increase the requirement on the wireless. We want to upgrade the wired and wireless network at regional campuses so that they have up-to-date equipment like we have here on campus. We want to migrate our single sign-on system to go to SHIB instead of depending on ADFS, what we have here, and then implement multi-factor authentication. We do have to improve security. Password is something of the past. Microsoft is pushing for passwordless access to systems, and lots of vendors are moving toward that. At some point, passwords are going to be something of the past. You will not be able to type in a username and password. You might be able to type in your username, but then you're going to rely on your phone to complete that transaction. And this is where we headed. So either you come kicking and screaming, or you be ahead of the curve, and we want to be ahead of the game. Support, be patient with us in the changes that we are undertaking. And please explain to students the countless hours that are spent behind the scenes to improve the network and bring it up to standards. Any questions?
Nadine, maybe you could unshare your screen so we can get.
Yes, I will go ahead and do that.
Thanks.
Yeah, hold on a second, please.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
I did have one question about Google Earth and how it is, we're not allowed to use Google Earth on our laptop. Is that, I'm not sure I'm reading this question right. Does the college restrict use of Google Earth?
No, so Google Maps, let me explain to you what happened with Google Maps. So Google Maps is considered not part of our core services from Google. And lots of universities had Google Maps enabled. Actually, Google Maps was enabled by default by Google. The college did not enable it. And one day Google woke up and say, oops, this is not a core service for Google Education, for G Suite for Education. And they turned it off behind the scenes without letting anyone know. So we were not the only one that ran into this issue. And they're trying to address the issue. It's not something that we turned off. It's not something that we turned on. It was turned on. And then Google woke up one day and said, oops, it's not part of the core service, and they turned it off. So we are looking at it and see how other universities have dealt with it. To be able to give you another, and the other thing is the reason we have not turned it on back on again is because when we go to turn on Google Maps, Google wants there are additional terms and services related to that service. And one of them is that they want parental consent for anyone that's under the age of 18. And the question is, how do we get parental consent for all the students that are considered underage that are attending Springfield College? And that is the reason why we are looking at see how other universities dealt with it. Some other universities, they turn it back on again because they were getting consent beforehand from parents for the students that were underage, under 18. In our case, I don't believe Springfield College does that.
In the chat, I do see a question. How will this affect working remotely? I imagine that the question is more not related to Google Maps, but more regarding the network and the changes that will be coming.
It would not affect how you're working remotely. I believe it will help. It will make it more secure because at present moment we have deployed VPN that would allow you access to resources. Part of also making the changes that we are making to the network in terms of zero trust and bringing two-factor authentication. Part of the when you log into system is that would allow us to have system being accessed directly from the internet from home without you needing access to the VPN. So that would help improve remote access, basically.
I'll go ahead and ask my question if there aren't others. Nadeem, with the hope of us returning to much more in-person life in the fall, should we anticipate any changes to our Zoom access and what we're able to do with Zoom come fall?
I don't believe so. I think the Zoom access will remain the same. It's just I believe that on the long run, even though we're going to come back on campus, hopefully after one is vaccinated, that the pandemic has changed the way we work and we do things. I believe Zoom is going to stay here with us for a long haul, and where you're going to end up with a hybrid solution for learning. That's my take on it. And also for next year, Tony said that we will continue to have the pro licensing for everyone. So from that perspective, Zoom is not going to change. The other thing is that I don't know if you had a chance to use Google Meet for video conferencing. It's something that we have been using a lot internally, part of the NSI team, and it's been working fine for us. Google is making a lot of inroads in the education space, where they changed the name from being G Suite for Education to Google Workspace, and they're adding lots and lots of improvement to their services.
For anyone who's interested, I do see that Jamie has posted a workaround to Google Maps issue link in the chat.
Yeah, if you open another browser and you're not logged into Google Suite, like Jamie had pointed out, is that you'll be able to access Google Maps. Just be a bit patient with us in terms of us working through the terms and conditions and what we need to do to be able to turn this service back on again. And lots of university were caught in this. We were not the only one. So.
Were there any terms or acronyms? And Nadeem did a good job of trying to not use all the acronyms, but I think he slipped a couple of times. Or anything he talked about? This is your opportunity to ask about stuff that you don't understand.
And again, if you want, I can share my screen one more time. And I just want to show you some of the numbers that we see. Let me just go to that screen here. I just want to show you a screen of what we see on the network really quickly and this view, we got this view after we upgraded our network. We did not have that view before that. And this tells us a lot of what's actually happening. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
So this is how much traffic we've in the last 7 days. And you could see the traffic that we have is that we had 65.3 terabyte of data that we sent. And in the last 7 days, we had 65,797 client. The number is actually doubled. The reason is the way you are counted is that you connect if you connect in the dorm, and then you leave your dorm room and then you go to the learning commons, then we count you again as you have been connected. That's the reason why you see in the last 7 days, we had 65,000 connection, but you could think of it as being half that, 35,000, but the 65.3 terabyte of data, it's an accurate number. This is how much data we've sent through our wireless network over the last 7 days. And the other thing that we give you an example of what we could see that we had not had that view in the past. So if you click on clients and Wi-Fi, so this is the international hall and what you see there in the international hall. So currently we have 350 clients connected. And if you look at some of the devices, this Xbox game was connected for 34 days. And it's been connected through the wireless. So if students complain about I'm having Zoom issue, they're competing as well with their own traffic of using Xbox, using Amazon, using their local TVs, because these are streaming at the same time that they're trying to have their Zoom session. So these devices are also competing for resources. And how can you tell a student, by the way, if you maybe turn off your Xbox while you're having a class, maybe your Zoom session will improve. So those are the things that, how do you tell the student what is the priority in this case? Maybe at night, yeah, bring in your Xbox and your Netflix and all that, but during the day, maybe you want to turn off that service so that you have a better Zoom session for your classes, because these devices are all competing for wireless coverage, for wireless connectivity, and all these use a lot of data. So just to give you an example of what we could see from a network perspective that we did not have that view in the past. And that would be the part is, how do you explain to a student, by the way, these are competing with your schooling, and how do you approach that in a way that you don't offend them and say, okay, this is what's happening and so forth. I understand that they bringing home with them to the college. They want to be able to feel that they're as if they're still at home. And how do you make that work for them in a way that they're able to still carry out the same lives, and in this case, life balance, life school balance, instead of like life work balance, it's life school balance.
Well, Nadim, you have a lot of us on this call that talk to students. So I would suggest if we hear students complaining that we share this information with them, just that they may not know, even understand how it works. So, maybe we can help.
Yes. Yes. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how much devices that are not related to schooling that is also competing with the official traffic of the school. In this case, Zoom session for classes or Zoom sessions for meeting.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Nadim. I really appreciate your time. And now we're going to switch it over to Kevin Roy, who's the Director of Facilities and Campus Services. So Kevin,
yeah, how you doing? Thanks for having me. Nice job, Nadim. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation like Nadim did, so we're gonna kind of go through it a bit of a format here. I think it's kind of important for just to kind of explain the hierarchy of facilities and kind of what some of the key players, what they're doing for all of us here at the college. So basically, thinking about facilities, we have about 70 people right now, which is down probably give or take 15 or 20 people from where we were, 18 months ago. So we're like every department, we had furloughs to deal with, and we had retirements to deal with. So we're down to about 70 people. We take care of 1.5 million square feet of buildings here on campus, as well as I think there's about 44 buildings. In those buildings, 237 bathrooms that we take care of. So, I think some of the stuff that we'll talk about here in facilities is, some of it relates to just the day-to-day life of facilities, but other things will relate to facilities and COVID and how that's, shaping the future of what facilities is going to look like. In general, I would say the facilities group, we tend to be the catch-all across campus. So when people don't know where to go, they typically, will come to facilities and say, hey, here's my problem. What direction should we go? And, we always obviously try to help everybody that we can. We work closely with all departments here, I think, across the board from ITS to campus police to, res life and athletics. I mean, I think every single group, interacts pretty closely, with the folks here in facilities. And, we try to, keep everybody, moving for certain. We also work with the city on inspections and with the fire marshal. So that's another piece of what we do. Obviously, we're a 24/7, 365 a day a year operation, just like, IT and campus police and some of the other, groups that are out there. So we're always here. We're on call, to kind of meet the needs of the campus. So, obviously, as I'm going through, if you have questions, feel free to shout them out to me. You don't have to wait to the end. So we'll kind of start just as we go through the folks that are working here in facilities. So we have our grounds department. There's about 8 or 9 grounds people right now working over there. They're working for Paul DeMaria. He's an interim supervisor for us. He's been stepping up, helping to fill one of the longtime Springfield College veterans that we had over there. So Paul's doing a great job of trying to, again, navigate, we're all navigating, COVID, but definitely, came on at a time where, things were definitely, going in a different direction than we had planned. Grounds handles, obviously the regular traditional landscaping that you think of, the lawns and the trees, but also trash recycling. The athletic fields takes up a large chunk of time with all the the turf that Jen has done over the years. There's a whole process to managing that, and that's a big piece of what they do. We want to keep the fields looking great. And snow, in the winter time, snow for facilities is huge for all of us, right? And how it affects where we park and how we walk to our buildings. So we spend a lot of time communicating internally with, our group, with facilities, with Karen Leary, with all those folks, putting our plan together for every single storm and what that looks like. And what time do we come in? Is it 4 a.m? Is it 3 a.m? With the reduction of staff that we've had, we now, require every facilities person, short of a couple that might have some other things happening. We're here for every single snowstorm, and making sure that everyone gets in safe. Just briefly, as we talk about how COVID's affected each group, even with grounds, the amount of trash that we're dealing with is, easily up 25-30%. As well as managing, grounds helping to manage, the tents. So we'll talk more about tents and how, again, there's a lot of moving parts, the tents, to the IT portion of the tents, to the heat, the walls, the social distancing, within those tents and the spacing of the furniture, all things that facility, again, along with all the other departments, worked with. We have our custodial department, intern supervisor Dan Kelly, again, stepping up to fill a void for us, doing a good job of trying to keep all the buildings, clean and sanitized. And obviously we've followed the CDC guidance and put together our own cleaning protocols across campus, a couple of different shifts. We've modified shifts over there to increase the amount of coverage we have in the public buildings. So again, we try to do it perfect. It's hard to do things perfect when we're dealing with less staff than probably what we had before, and training new people and vacations. But again, those are all pieces that we try to work out internally. We've also taken on in the fall, we brought in a vendor to do the electrostatic spraying. I don't know if you've seen, something we're doing in-house now. We bought the equipment to basically spray a charged cleaning molecule that sticks to the surfaces that does kill COVID. So we have a pretty rigorous schedule that we do that, in the public areas, and then also in any of the res halls. As soon as we see an uptick in COVID cases, we're spending extra time over there, sometimes on third shift when people are sleeping, trying to get a handle on that. And I think one of the other big pieces, we talk about the isolation and quarantine rooms that we're managing. Every time those rooms are turned over, we go back through them, clean them, check making sure the lights and the toilets and the heat is working. I know IT does the same thing, making sure that their networks are working over there. So that's been a big piece of what we've done, because we would normally never have to turn that many rooms over in the course of the week. And I don't have a number, but you see our numbers of cases. So you have our cases plus the close contacts. It's a lot of rooms that we're turning over on a weekly and daily basis. The warehouse, Ray Brochu, he's been here a little while. Most of you guys know Ray, warehouse supervisor, does a great job of setting up for events. He's worked with all your groups, I'm sure. Bringing furniture to the res halls. He does the receiving over there. Mattresses and appliances all run through that group. So very busy. This week's Diuca, all these events that we do across campus, they all touch facilities in some way. And we do our best to support those. Any questions so far on any of that stuff?
Quick question.
Sure.
I was wondering, I know that you guys are short-staffed and we so appreciate everything you do. Would it be helpful if there was like a schedule for emptying our trash cans for the offices? A lot of times we end up, I work in the wellness center, and the coaches will put all their trash cans in the hallway, but we just don't know which day it's going to be. So if we just had an idea, then that way, we could make sure that they're out there, and then that way the person doesn't have to come into our offices.
Gotcha. Yeah. We'll see if we can put something out there for the different areas. If your trash doesn't get picked up and it's full, and you can always do a work order, to get us over there, or a quick reminder that somehow it got missed. And again, there's no excuses for any of those things. Along the way, as we're training new people or bringing new people up, sometimes those things do get missed. But absolutely send something our way to remind us, and we'll see if we can do something with scheduling, just so we can say, hey, trash day is Monday over there, which is a great idea. So we'll see if we can do a better job there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Like you said, if we knew like Monday was trash day, we'd have it all out. I just hate to put in a ticket and make it look like we're not happy with our area. But
Yes,
just like you said, if we knew it was Monday, we know everybody would have their trash can out on Monday.
That's okay. Work orders are fine. I think somewhere here I made a note. We did 3,400 work orders since September. So don't be afraid to submit a work order. We'll quickly reject it if we don't like it. That's what we do to work orders we don't like. So that's a joke.
Yes.
So yeah, you know, we encourage it. It's the way we can track it and get it out to people. So okay. Moving along to our trades department. So Scott Dupuy has been here quite some time. Most of you know Scott, 25 years here, I believe. Takes care of you know, the HVAC, so the heating, the air conditioning, the electricians, the plumbers, our locksmith who's part-time, our maintenance mechanic, and then everything that goes along with that, with the infrastructure within the buildings, the fire alarms, kitchen equipment. So, you know, lots of moving parts to all those things. So I think, you know, that group, as much as we're utilizing that work order system that we use every single day to get these guys out and about. We're also doing preventative work, so work that happens behind the scenes, as well as you know, some of the smaller projects. So you know, those guys are out and about you know, every day. You know, COVID related items that came from that group, you know, all the, you know, plus 100 plus, you know, physical barriers that we built, worked, you know, with Kathleen's group at the health center, getting the testing site up and running. And, you know, again, lots of moving parts to keeping our HVAC systems, you know, moving the air in and out of these buildings, you know, each day for us. We have our associate director of planning, Jen Vignal. She's our, you know, our project manager, you know, kind of jack of all trades group here in this hallway. We rely on her for our capital projects. So all these large projects that you see across, you know, campus, you know, she was involved with the Learning Commons and the Union in the past. Just wrapped up our new softball field. Looks great, and we're getting ready for some more large projects on campus. So obviously the new Health Science Center is high on the list of working its way through design. We're doing a large masonry and roof project at Marsh. It's just one of those deferred maintenance projects that had to get done. So Jen's been working to get that off the ground for this summer. And then also, you know, plans for some new parking over on near Campus Police. Once the Health Science building happens, it'll be taking up some of the parking that we currently have. So we need to make room for that. So that's another project that we're working on, as well as, you know, any of these small campus renovations that happen on campus will run through Jen's office. We're short our environmental health and safety position. So Jen has been able to work with some consultants, and again, you know, wearing multiple hats is how we've managed, you know, retirees and people leaving. Luckily, you know, everyone that I've just named, you know, everyone's stepping up, you know, to do, you know, above and beyond, you know, to keep us running. Again, Jen also acts as our, you know, athletics. I would say athletics liaison is where I put it, right? So, you know, we meet often with Craig Poison's group just to talk about, you know, all the moving parts in athletics, and that's its own set of challenges. COVID responsibilities, you know, in addition to the environmental health and safety aspects of COVID, you know, Jen managed all the de-densification plans for all the academic areas, the tents, social distancing, you know, with the registrar's office. So, you know, all, you know, critical pieces to, you know, to keeping everybody safe during COVID, as well as, you know, helping to, you know, get ready to take the college to the, you know, to the next level with, you know, with new buildings. So, last but not least, out in our front office, Ann Giannopoulos. Again, everyone knows Ann, 30 years here. You know, obviously we talk about it often in this group, how Ann, you know, first she has a lot of history, and more so, you know, how she interacts with not only facilities people, but, you know, everyone who calls over facilities, is happy to speak with Ann. I can tell you, I get countless, people giving Ann kudos for her demeanor, following through with things. She handles all of our purchase recs, all of our contracts. She helps with our work order system, with all of our emergency calls throughout the day that we get. So again, I think, we're happy that, I can tell you, I'm happy being the 2.5-year person here to have, inherited a lot of the hardworking, people that we just mentioned. They really made, they're making my job, easier by, wanting to do the right thing. And, I'm happy to have all of them, and that's just, a small amount of what we do, right? I mean, I can't, that's just kind of touching, getting everyone to say, hey, these are some of the areas that we do. But, every single day, we come in, we're here early. The custodians are on campus at 5 o'clock in the morning. Grounds comes in early. We all try to get an early start on the day. And every day is different here. We will receive our, let's just say it might be 20 or 30 work orders for the day. We're prioritizing those work with the work that's, left over from the day before, and emergencies and events that could be happening. So we, our group talks every single day. We've been here through the whole pandemic. We've really kind of prided ourselves in making sure we try not to miss much here. And that happens through, the good communication that we have. Let's see here. We have, I touched base on some of the retirements, and I'll just kind of, as we had some of the long time, folks that were working in this group over here, and we've been lucky to have a few people step up that were willing to help as we kind of navigated. We didn't have a lot of hiring, obviously for the right reasons over the last 12 months, and I think with COVID here, internally with HR, we're going to take a look at I think like most groups and say, hey, where's the future of facilities, and where are the important positions, and where do we need a little bit of help, and shifting resources. And that's what I think, over the next course of the next year, I think we're all looking forward to making, shifting gears a little bit and trying to, increase the amount of customer service that we can, and the support that we can give everybody, and, do a better job at running our group. So collaboration, I think, would be that, key to the retirements and how we've managed, the furloughed people and separated people, which we have had. Let's see. Plans for summer and fall. I think what I've learned since being here is that, summer and fall are busier than what we thought the winter and spring was. As we get ready for commencement and all the parts and pieces that go with that, and kind of wrapping up, a lot of the projects that we have, right now, we go into summer planning for, obviously we go through all the rooms that are here on campus, all the classrooms, all the students' rooms. And, we're preparing instantly for the fall. And with COVID, we have a direction for fall, but I think like all of us, we don't know exactly what that will look like. So we're, again, planning for as much as we can in the future. But we don't know exactly what that looks like. Summer with camps and things, again, we're planning on, a traditional summer for us has got a lot of room turnover with camps coming in and checking out. And, when you really think about what the summer looks like for facilities, we've got a handful of projects that we will be working on. All of Jen's projects, they keep marching on through the summer. Scott's working on some new shower projects for us in international. We try to get some painting worked into there. And, amongst all of those things, we're moving students in and out of their rooms. We're getting ready for fall, but it's a short window between commencement. You work a little bit of vacation time in. Now you're at July 1st, and August 1, we want to be ready for students to come back on campus. And, athletics comes in a little bit early. We don't have a, exact date for schedules, but, mentally facilities is thinking August 1, we want to be ready. And see where that goes. So you think about, 4 or 6 weeks worth of summer, trying to, cram a lot of stuff in. One of the big projects that we've been working on over the last few years is the LED lighting projects. If you've seen new lights in your areas, we've done about
Well, if you let me over, I would have let you over.
Hi, Dr. Cooper.
Hi, how are ya?
Good. How are you?
Good. Sorry for that. I just got cut off. You're doing a great job, Kevin. I didn't realize I was on mute. Thank goodness I didn't curse.
All good.
Your team's doing an awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Cooper, I'm going to mute you.
Go right ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to mention, so the LED lights, so we're in kind of what we'll say is phase 3 of 4 phases of the LED lighting project. So we've done about 8,000 LED fixtures across campus. The goal, hopefully achievable with the help of, a little bit of funding and a little bit of luck, is to be, we should have all LED fixtures across campus, in the next 12 months. Which is big. We've worked with Eversource. We've received, lots of rebates on these fixtures, and we're really, looking to the future with sustainability here on campus and starting to, to go in that direction. LED is the quickest and easiest and simplest way to, save energy, Another piece I'll just throw out there in sustainability is that, we are working with some power purchase agreements. So we have worked with third-party solar suppliers. So we are, receiving some of our energy here on campus through solar. We are, again, we're continuing to go in a great direction, and we're, taking COVID in stride, like all of you guys are, and looking forward to what next year's brings us. I think one of the question was proudest accomplishments since I've been here, and I can tell you that the last few years, obviously getting to know the college and the people here, but how facilities has responded to COVID. And to all the challenges that it's thrown at us and so many of the groups here on campus. I think I couldn't be happier with how we've responded, trying to not miss a beat with what were the services we're trying to provide everyone to keep everybody safe. We've gone above and beyond with tents, and the ice rink was a big hit, and physical barriers and de-densified classrooms, and extra cleaning protocols, and even 10 months ago, even just getting cleaning supplies and gloves and the equipment that we needed was so difficult. So again, proud of our group with how we've responded, and again, looking forward to the next year, and hopefully it's an easier one for us. Just kind of wrapping up with, the support that we get from the campus, continue to utilize the work order system. It's the only way to track it. It's difficult to receive phone calls and emails and then try to get, the staff to get that to paper. So anything that we can do with the work order system is helpful for us in tracking, and helpful for you guys. So, when we do work, or, if you see an issue that's maybe not in your area, submit it so we know, that it's something that we need to address. And then just be patient with follow-up. We keep, right now, we're at about 200 work orders in the queue. We like it to be a little less than that, but with spring, we've seen an uptick, across campus, and then with the extracurriculars that are happening. So patient, And you know, again, if it's a crisis, that's a different story. You can still do a work order and follow it up with, hey, you know, there's a leaking pipe. But you know, again, the work order is definitely the place to start. So that's about what I had going. Any questions or thoughts?
I have a question, Kevin.
Sure.
One of the things that has happened periodically in the past is that we find out what projects are coming up or what projects have been completed more likely. And I think people really appreciate knowing you do so much in your department that we don't even realize is happening. Like, I bet a lot of people here don't realize there was a new softball field. So just, is there a way that you could keep us updated about some of the bigger projects that facilities has accomplished, maybe, you know, in the fall or whatever? I'm just wondering if there's, I don't want to give you more work, like, please, you know, set up a web page.
Yeah, no, I mean,
have you thought about that?
yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. And I think you know, I think we can, you know, internally we can find the right avenue to do that. I know, you know, Jen and I have talked in the past about trying to, you know, get our internal, you know, our, you know, facilities page, you know, maybe more current on some of those things. So yeah, it's a great idea. And I think we should be able to find a way to get those projects out there. Anything
No
else?
questions? I'm shocked. I figured somebody would have some question. What rumors have you heard about facilities? Come on.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's Jen Dutko. First of all, I don't know how to put a face to my blank bubble there, so apologize for that. Any updates on the construction that's going on? Is it Hickory?
Yeah.
And is that going to be a straight across avenue that's going to be blocked off, or is that still going to be an accessible street?
Yeah, it's still going to be accessible. Again, we did meet with the city a week or so ago and got some updates, you know, as to some of the work they're doing. So, you know, we're told that by the end of this year that Hickory will be paved, you know, heading up this way. So I know that, you know, everyone will be excited about that. So that's what they tell us. We'll have to wait and see where that goes. But I think, you know, all that construction on that side of town is really, you know, going to make that entryway to the campus so much nicer. So I know everyone's, you know, really looking forward to that. You know, the city has, you know, lots of, you know, again, on the north side of campus, they're working on if you've seen over on the north side of softball, they're working on a small park, you know, over there on that side of town. So the city is doing, you know, trying to do their part around us to keep, you know, beautifying it and, you know, making the whole area so nice.
Thank you.
Well, I don't see any more questions. We've got about another minute left. So I'm going to start a rumor. When you talk about putting a parking lot in front of campus security, are you thinking of a building? Because the more frequent you take over the existing parking lots and putting like the health science building in parking lot number 4, there's only so much parking that you're going to have around if you just keep it on street level.
Sure. Yeah, I think for now, you know, we're just in the early stages of design of what that project will look like, you know, and I think we're, you know, taking into account, you know, the spaces that we have and any spaces that might get displaced. So again, I wouldn't rule anything out in the future, you know, but I think for now, you'll probably see some traditional parking there. You know, we'll see where the future goes. I mean, the future is going to be smaller cars and, you know, maybe we'll need less parking spaces. Who knows?
Can you have a Carvana type vending machine for parking?
That sounds great, Nadeem. Okay, thank you so much, Nadeem and Kevin, for taking the time to prepare answers for all the questions that we submitted to you. And I also want to thank all of the participants, the people who are listening, because without you, we wouldn't have events like this. And we really appreciate any suggestions that you have for our staff council, because as we start the next year, we have some people who are rolling off in May and some newly elected folks, and we want to extend congratulations to them. But anything that you've got thoughts for, please feel free to let us know. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great day.